the top 12 albums that I would take on a desert island with me. First of all, again, I wanted to kind of have a wide palette. I wanted to represent my many moods, whatever it is I'm doing on that island for the rest of my life. I don't want to be stuck with all Black Sabbath, all Led Zeppelin, and no nice pop rock or anything. So there's going to be a collection of, just look for that in my list here. Okay, number one. Now I chose this one first. If you notice on my thumbnail, it's the first one in the back row, right? Now, Royce, shame on you. He goes, oh no, I just know what he's going to talk about. Now, Royce featured this album on his last stream, and for the first time in his life, he noticed that there were urine stains on that wall. And I went, you gotta be kidding me. That was the first thing I noticed when I bought this album, brother. That was the first. Oh, and then he says, oh, but there's only 3 stains. Royce, you gotta look real close here in front of Pete's leg, and you'll see the 4th stain. His body is just covering it up. All right. But what a fantastic album. This is one of those albums I consider a perfect album. Matter of fact, we're going to have several albums that I consider perfect. This is by far my favorite Who album. All right. And I love a lot of them, but somehow they captured the lightning on this. And, when I went to go see them live, they were touring Quadrophenia, another wonderful album, but I just can't imagine living the rest of my life on that deserted island without having access to these cuts. And what's great, there's a lot of deep cuts on this album that didn't get a lot of radio play that are just as good as the others. All right, so that leads me to Desert Island album number 2. This is a gift from Royce, so I was able to pick this. This is my favorite Yes album of all time. There's only 3 cuts on this album. Side 1 has the cut close to the edge, right? Then you have And You and I and Siberian Tantrum on side 2, right? Not short songs either, but all of side 1 is close to the edge. This is perfection, progressive rock incarnate to me, folks. I love this album. This is one of those albums you sit down and you listen to the whole thing. So is the Who's Next album and a couple others we're going to talk about tonight. All right, and this is another one of them. Number 3, Desert Island album number 3, Pink Floyd, my 3rd favorite band, Dark Side of the Moon. I've not listened to this a whole lot this year because I've been listening to Pink Floyd at Pompeii. I've got that album, the live album. And of course I couldn't choose that, but I wouldn't have. As much as I love that album, this is Pink Floyd at their very best. And, in the past, Roger Waters says, I wrote that album. He's wrong. The whole group wrote the album. He wrote all the lyrics, but there was co-writing galore going on this album, and he's maligned the album, the other members of the band, I think, too much. But man, you can't get better Floyd than The Dark Side of the Moon, as far as I'm concerned. All right, that leads me, I've got to have something different now. Now we've got some progressive, right? We've got, got to shake it up. I want a little Latino beat to turn to on the island. And this is my favorite, second favorite Santana album. I actually would have picked Caravanserai. Everybody goes, you're kidding me. Yeah, that's an experiment in its own thing, but I'm kind of glad I don't have it because I do. That's my favorite Santana album. But this is number 2. Brax is number 3, I would say. But I'm going to first of all, got to have some cool artwork to take to the island, and that is as cool as it gets, right? And on top of that, man, the groove on this album. I mean, all the songs that you've got on this, you got to have some Santana. I need some more prog. Only this is prog from the wood. Okay, another excellent group that uses the power of when they're writing the pop song. within their songs. I've talked about this album. My longtime members aren't surprised. This is on my list. This album, side one, talks about the main character, that it's all about Aqualung. Side two delves into Aqualung's childhood, right? And we see how he becomes the decrepit creature that side one reveals. Absolute great study in humanity, right? And an album way back then talking about the homeless, okay? Ahead of its time, totally. Next up, Black Sabbath, got to have some heavy-ass rock and roll. And as some of my viewers have known, it didn't get a lot of views when I talked about this album on a dedicated video. But I think this is Black Sabbath's Abbey Road. Let's call it that. You know, Abbey Road is usually considered the Beatles' best and most well-produced. Whether Abbey Road is your favorite or not, many will at least say that, and many just say it's their favorite. To me, this has all of everything that Black Sabbath offered on their first two albums, only now they're sounding a little more studio proficient and everything, and more powerful, more succinct, and a lot of the material on this album has been greatly maligned. A lot of people say this is a band, a satanic band, and all of that. You'd be wrong, and I encourage you to watch my last video when I covered Master of Reality, okay? Because it's not the album many people think it is. Okay, so that gets us down to the next choice, and long time viewers will know that this is no surprise, by Roxy Music Avalon. I took this album over to my brothers. I go, this is like a band if Mars had a civilization and they invented their version of rock. It sounded alien to me and yet familiar at the same time. Lots of pop sensibilities into the album, but a completely progressive band, right? And I just love it. I love the album cover. I love the flow. This is a late night album for me, right? This is when you turn the lights down, imbibe whatever it is that you partake of, and let the music go through your soul. Avalon by Roxy Music. All right, that leads us to I need some pop. All right, I haven't had a lot of pop here, so I need a good pop rock band. Now, there's tons. I could have chosen Badfinger. I could have chosen that. But, man, to choose them and not choose Fleetwood Mac and the Rumors album is not quite there. I almost wanted to choose the Fleetwood Mac album that came out just prior to this one. The reason I didn't was I just got to be honest. And plus, The Chain is my favorite Fleetwood Mac song of all time. They're all involved in the writing of that, and that's them at their very best. That's the high point, but the album is just fantastic. All members giving their very best, sounding their very best, and for those times where I just want to hear some great songs, you got to have some Fleetwood Mac in there. Now, that leads me to my next choice, and again, I am going to be relying on some pop, but this is symphony pop. You go, wait a minute, Michael, you only ranked that as your fourth favorite Beatle album. What are you doing? Yep. But when I think about what I've got to live with for the rest of my life, right, I have two favorite albums. The White Album's number 3. This is, I think, number 4 is how I ranked it. Number 2 would be Revolver, although I've been thinking of flipping these other ones. And Rubber Soul is my favorite. But the problem with Rubber Soul or Revolver for my only Beatle album is one has a little too much John, the other has a little too much Paul, not enough John. One of them doesn't quite have what George offers on this album. Okay, and what they did on side 2, it's a symphony. It's a suite. It's an entire classical music production with words. All right, and so if you're going to have an album that will time and time again, no matter the mood, entertain you, I had to go with Abbey Road. First time Abbey Road in any of my videos has outplayed other Beatle albums. Okay, so I've got some pop. I've got a little bit of heavy music. I need some more heavy music, right? And of course, Deep Purple. I almost wanted to choose Burn. I love Burn. I love Burn. But and there's a couple of songs on there I like better than a couple of songs on here. But you cannot deny the magic in this album, especially the interplay between, Richie Blackmore and John Lord, between their jams on these tracks. Tracks not too long, but not too short. Lots of time to groove into each track. And it is high powered. This, to me, is Deep Purple at their best. Barely at their best, because there's several albums I would pick by Deep Purple that come damn close to that. That leads us to my second favorite. Now, we've covered Pink Floyd, we've covered the Beatles. How about Led Zeppelin? All right, this one's a tough one. All right, I wanted to pick, I was going to pick, I almost picked, I swear to God I was almost going to pick Led Zeppelin 4. But the more and more I get into this album, I'm sorry, and I am going to announce tonight, because I've always put 4 slightly above this album in my rankings. This is Led Zeppelin's finest produced album. They cover more ground. They do it in such a way. And I know some of you go, well, the crunge is on that album. I love the crunge. Anybody doesn't love the crunge, listen again. Take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning. It's a great cut. All right. I love this album. Royce was talking about this album. He says he kind of dug side 2 more than side 1. If I had to choose one, I'd take side 1, mainly because of Over the Hills Far Away and the Rain song alone and how they blend together. The crunge's craziness. I would probably take that, but that takes nothing from side 2. The Dogs of Doom are howling low. You gotta have those tracks in it, right? So, and the production, the artwork, everything on this album is absolutely fabulous. And so from now on, I'm sorry, I've just got to go with, Houses of the Holy. I've been threatening to do that for a couple of years, haven't I, folks? As a matter of fact, I even did a video where I got to choose this as the number 1 album, but it was based on criteria that took 4 off. Now, what do I think of 4? God, I wish I could pick 4. That's all I could say. But then I'm going to go, I'll have 4 and I'll have all those wonderful, I can just hear those cuts now in my mind, but I won't have Over the Hill and Far Away. I won't have the Rain song. I won't have those magnificent, the ocean. You got to have those cuts, And so it's with hesitation, but damn, it's almost a tie with me between these 2 albums. But I know this isn't the favorite of a lot of Zeppelin fans. All right? So those are the 13 albums that I would choose. You go, Michael, you only went over 12. Yeah, okay. You caught me. There's another one I've got on order. And let me see here if I can find it. I got to show you out on my iPad because I don't have the album cover. And like I said, if this doesn't arrive in time, I'll just put Back in Black on that 13 album list, because I doubt if many of you would have chosen this album that I think is one of absolutely essential for me to have. Now, real longtime viewers will know I love this album. I've mentioned it on Royce before, and I finally got a record seller had 1 left, and it's coming from England, so that's why I haven't gotten it. It's been ordered for a while now. But Jojo Gunn by Jojo Gunn. Look at that album cover. Now, there's a story behind this album and why I would choose it. First of all, dig this, what they say about this album. This is from Apple Music. It was a blurb, and I go, yeah, I'd like to read this. It says, the L.A. rock band Jojo Gunn formed after singer, guitarist, and keyboardist Jay Ferguson, future solo star of Thunder Island fame, He had a big hit with that, didn't he? And bassist Mark Andes, later of Firefall and Heart, had split from the much lauded band Spirit. And we've talked a lot about Spirit and its connection with Led Zeppelin on the channel and everything, right? Who had just released the trailblazing 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus. All right, so that was a bold move of them to leave and create their own group. And so it said, so yes, this 1972 debut is littered with the era's FM radio signposts. And that's a fair thing. And that's why I'm choosing this. I want an album that kind of represents a whole lot of the sounds I was hearing. It's not a compilation album. All of these were written just for this album, right? But each song sounds like a different group you'd hear on the FM and AM stations back when I was. And I just love these songs, right? There's the Little Feat style boogie of Babylon, 99 Days, Academy Award. Oh, I love that song. Shirts off beer drinking anthems like I Make Love, Flying Home, or bar style blues, a motor speedway rock ballad called Flying Home, and the same kind of melodious stoner angst that made Spirit songs great. Shake That Fat and Run, Run, Run. Run, Run, Run was a bit of a hit for them. I don't know how high it got on the charts, but I definitely remember it being on KFRC and being played. So they say it's a top 40 hit, right? So probably up to number 30, 20-something, maybe. But that makes this album, but what makes this album is the spare, every note carries weight arrangements of guitar, bass, and drums. And that's the thing, if you guys listen to this album, that I wanted to bring out. Sometimes there's entire holes in the overall production because nothing was written for anything else. And no producer got in there and said, let's fill that gap. And so you hear how they put these pieces together. You swear you're in the same room with this band and they're playing it live in front of you. So that would be my 13th album that I would choose.